Okay. Give me 1 second. Alright. So there's gonna be an echo for a second. Maybe. Oh, no, there won't, because of how my audio is set up. I'm sure it's working fine. It's just like posted a tweet. Okay, weird. There's gonna be an echo for a second. Maybe. Oh, no, there won't, because of how my audio is set up. Alright, I'm sure. Good enough. And close that. Alright. As the title of this says, I'm basically just going to be doing my roulettes and, you know, hanging out. So, let's see. What are... Alright, let's switch to Sage and do some healer roulettes. It looks like healers are needed for lots. Let's start with just normal raids. Because fuck it, why not? I'm grooving out because when I do 14 and I ever stream it, I actually can't hear the game audio the way I tune it because Final Fantasy 14's music's great and all, but I've listened to it a lot. So a lot of times when I'm just doing roulettes, I like listening to videos or my own music. So typically when I stream like 14, if I'm just doing roulettes or something, I switch it so basically I can hear Spotify and then my stream just plays the normal game music, just because I like listening to my Spotify, and I figure if somebody's watching a game, they'd rather listen to the game music. Plus, I obviously can't stream my Spotify playlist, you know, or you know, yeah. I mean, I don't own the rights to the music, so I can't do that. Yeah. Not that I'm worried about getting like DMCA'd or something. I don't care. I'm not actually monetized or anything. That's something that's actually kind of also annoying when you're playing Final Fantasy XIV, because there are a decent amount of Final Fantasy XIV songs that I've noticed get DMC'd basically. So a lot of the Twitch VODs that I used to do when I was like progging in T or anything else, and if I would go and I'd post that VOD to YouTube just to have the VOD forever, the VOD, at least in parts, would get muted. Oftentimes, if I was just doing one fight the entire time, the entire fight would get muted. It's like, thanks Final Fantasy XIV. Love it. It's one of those things that, like, music and video games, you probably shouldn't be having an automatic censor or something, an automatic, like, DMCA tool picking it up. Like, especially if it's just game OST. It's one of those things that I always thought was funny about Cyberpunk, because the good parts of Cyberpunk was like the aesthetic and story and how the game could, you know, emotionally tell its tale and yada yada yada. But if you were a streamer, they had like a special streamer mode you could play it on, in which it would like turn off or censor a whole bunch of stuff, which whatever, and it would like turn off a bunch of the like actual known reputable music and put on like generic music or something that wouldn't get them DMCA'd. It's like, dude, this game's all about, like, thematics and aesthetics. Like, that's what you nailed. Like, why the fuck? Like, come on. It just means that everybody streaming it like a technically worse experience of the game, in my mind. That, and also, obviously, Cyberpunk is a very adult game, or it's supposed to be. It's not really in practice, but, the Cyberpunk universe is supposed to be pretty debaucherous, and you use streamer and everything, you turn it off, and, you know, I feel like that's a little bit immersion breaking. Alright, let's see what we get. My Sage is actually geared up to the point that I can get most Alliance raids, I think. Oh, neat. Just Alexander. So it's one of those things that for a long time, whenever I do not Alliance raids, normal raids on my Sage actually wasn't geared enough to get anything new. And I think it's at the point where it can start getting new stuff. Except for maybe the later fights in the tier, I don't know. But it was basically like, oh, now I'm starting to get new shit. Now I have to actually vaguely know how to play the class. It's kind of like I can do expert roulette on my Sage now, which is fun. Yeah. It's funny, I actually was surprised because we were queuing in with a 4 group into an expert roulette once, and I was like, oh, well, I was still on my healer, and I was like, oh, well, let me switch because I don't think my Sage is high enough item level to get into expert. And then they're like, the queue popped, and he's like, nope, you're fine. It's like, oh shit, what? And then it's just, we had a full group, so it didn't matter my item level, let us queue in, and then good thing we had a good tank, or else I was under geared as fuck. That's how I got carried through an expert roulette once as a Sage. Just queue in with good players, XD. My only issue with playing Sage is I'm normally a tank main, and other tanks, like when they do bad, it bothers me. Like if a tank does these massive wall-to-wall pulls and doesn't pop any defensive cooldowns the entire time, it annoys me a lot. It's like, look, you can pull as much as you want, but use your defensives. Or it's funny, honestly, what annoys me more than that is people who use their defensives, but they use their defensives once they're actually, like, out of health. Like, they don't use their defensives till they're at, like, 10%. And it's like, okay, so you misunderstood what that's for. Like, you already took your entire health bar and damage. You don't need it now. Like, you're already practically dead. So what I do is when I find tanks like that, what I'll use is I'll basically not give them any heals or anything until I see a defensive pop. So I'll just wait until they like panic at 10%, pop a defensive cooldown, I'll spike heal them to max, and then I can just like keep healing it like normal. It's like, there you go, buddy. You found your rampart. But I just do that if I find out my tank is only popping cooldowns if they get really low. It's just like, I'm trying to teach them to pop your cooldowns when you're high. It's like popping a it's the equivalent in my mind of popping a cooldown after a tank buster goes off. It's like you already took all of the damage. What are you trying to mitigate? I mean, the only cooldowns that you should be saving until you're really low health are cooldowns that heal you a lot. So you can heal yourself back towards full. Like Bloodwetting, you don't need to use it when you're full health. You can wait till you're like half health or less and pop Bloodwetting and then go crazy. No point in Bloodwetting if you're full health, really. I mean, the shield's nice and defense is nice, but like you might as well just wait a bit. And yeah, and then like the tank invulnerabilities, you typically only want to use if you're low health. Or if you're going to be low health, like if whatever's coming is about to kill you, then obviously use it. That's especially true for like Gunbreaker and Dark Knight. Like Paladin, you technically don't have to be low health. It's just like, are you going to take a lot of damage? Just pop it. But if you're Dark Knight, if you're not low health and you're not going to hit 1 HP, then like your invuln's worthless. And Gunbreaker's really the same way. Is that like, if the damage you take from dropping yourself to 1 is more than the damage that you're preventing, so like if you have 90,000 health and you pop Super Bolide and it blocks 60,000 damage, then you've damaged yourself for 30k more than like you actually needed to, type deal. And obviously that includes the damage over the full window, because it would negate damage for the 8-second window or whatever. But yeah. And obviously Warrior, the goal would be to pop Home Game when you're going to hit 1 as, you know, as close to hitting 1 as possible, because then you have a longer time for healers to respawn. And Dark Knight, like, as long as you're going to hit 1 within the next 10 seconds of using it, you can just pop it. Like, you can pop that 1 second before you hit 1, you can pop it 10 seconds before you hit 1, doesn't matter. Alright, now time to bail before they open up these chests and dump all the fucking shit in my inventory. I don't want it. Alright. Let's see. What's next? Sure, Kill Heist, why not? I like this new mount, though. But I think, honestly, the new Beast Tribe mount, the Jellyfish, might be my favorite mount in the game. But I don't have it yet. I have to get higher leveled with the Beast Tribe, obviously. And I'm fairly certain I've been doing that every day possible. So, yeah, like, I can't progress it faster. So I don't think anybody has the Jellyfish yet. I even did the trick where you log in early patch day, and it lets you do Beast Tribes in the morning, and then after 11 again. Yeah, I didn't actually click the right dialogue option. I forget that the fucking Nervous Rider ones, you have to actually pay attention. Which at this point, me doing these, I don't need the currency or rep at all. What I'm really doing this for is the, these things. The Penna. I don't know if I want to say it. Which I don't really need them either. And I'm kind of just killing time while I wait in the queue. But these can be traded for materia. So next tier, if I need a bunch of materia, this is just another source I can buy them with. So one of the big benefits to doing roulettes is getting these, these cracked Dedroplusters and the Anthroplusters. Because you can exchange those for materia as well. Which you might go, oh, you don't need, you know, 100 materia just to get Bis for Prog, and it's like, well, you might. If you're doing pentamelds are RNG and your materia will break, so, like, I think I burnt through, like, probably 100, 150, like, wasted materia pentamelding for this tier. I think it just is what it is. So next tier, obviously, if I can have more and more materia available for pentamelding, then I won't have an issue. This Dragon's got a very dragon name. Lance Draconis. I think they know what class they want to play, guys. Sometimes when I'm in this one, I'll mark this guy just to focus him, but I got sprouts and stuff, it's fine. If they want to kill all the ads, it's whatever. I'm just gonna focus the big guy. Fortunately, I'm a sage at this level, so like, I shouldn't really need to heal at all, unless if, people are standing in the poison, or if people are tanking ads who aren't the tank, because Cardia can really just heal the entire damage to the tank. Lower levels Cardia is kind of silly. Before I actually do my other beast tribes and I queue into anything else, I don't think I've checked in on my island in like 2 days, so I should probably do that. It's lower my nose gun. Probably something I should be doing. I mean, I don't need the craft or gather materia, because I don't craft or gather, and at this point, gathering materia, I would be able to get through the new beast tribe, so it's kind of like a whatever. Although, honestly, getting all of your materia through beast tribes for crafting and gathering would take a really long time. Like, I think it's, what is it, like 9 beast tribe currency for like 1 tier 10 materia or something like that. So 3 days would get you 1 tier 10. So if you needed a lot of those and pentamelts and stuff like that. Alright. Yep, I didn't set them to do anything today or tomorrow. Let's see what's looking good. That's okay. So grilled clam is good. Can I pair anything with grilled clam? Shark oil. Yeah. We'll do that tomorrow. So marine merchandise. Let's do grilled clam and shark oil. So I have the full day of that running and everything. Just wanted to make sure it fit properly. Yeah. Alright. What do we want them to do today? And grilled clam is still good today. Oh, it works. Earrings are good. Under accessories there. Alright, let's see if there's another good accessory. Oh yeah, so there's a couple in here. Yeah, maybe we can do... Actually, this is just for today, so like, let's do maybe the ring and the ribbon right now. Because that's going to be produced right now. So, the ring is 6 hours and the ribbon is 6. Is there enough time for both of these? I don't think there is. Oh, just barely. Alright, yeah, let's just do that. Alright, there we go. Now they're working for today and tomorrow. And I always give my marmots Tuesday and Wednesday off, because in my mind, Tuesday is reset day. So, you know, raid and shit. I basically was just like, okay, on Tuesdays, I don't want to think about this. I definitely think I should probably change that. I won't, though, because I think about this game more on Tuesdays, because reset day. So, like, I probably should have it so they don't work, like, Sunday and Saturday, because, like, I don't super think about engaging with my marmots on Saturdays and Sundays, typically. Either that or like Friday, Saturday. But the thing is, in my mind, it's like, alright, well, Fridays and Saturdays, you know, weekend, like, I have more free time, so it shouldn't be hard for me to log on and do it, but I just don't remember. Alright, let's get into something. Let's do leveling, because that's healer need. I like doing a lot of the like roulettes and casual content on Sage. I like Sage a lot, and since I raid a lot on tanks, specifically warrior, I feel like I get some more variety if I actually play other things than warrior when I do like casual content. So like I play a lot of Sage, Dancer, Reaper, and casual content.
My friends, Heed me. These are children of Stanley. Forgive me. I could do them no harm.
I forgot to focus start at the tank. Yeah, I'll do it in a second. Why is somebody dying? Oh, it's because they're sending way over there. It's like, why are you dying? Why is the tank not taking the damage? It's like, because they're not bringing the ad into the stack. Gotcha. Hey, but at least this tank's using cooldowns, so that makes them better than most already. It's sad how low the bar is for tanking. I just think what they need to do is, you know how like the Hall of the Novice exists? At level 50 or like 60, they need to add a new Hall of the Novice and make it legitimately hard. Like, actually explain like tank buster markers and everything. And make it so the tanks will legitimately die to like add packs and stuff if they do not use defensives. To teach them like, you need to use defensives if you're going to pull a lot of enemies. Because, like, yeah, you can not do it and your healer can carry you, but it's like a pain in the ass. Kind of a dick move, you know? I don't like using GCD heals, but I kind of had to for this guy. There we go. He's got plenty of health now. Oh, I almost did. I'm just going to use Panheimer and I'll be fine. Okay, also just use Carachol, you know, fucking bubble, whatever it's called, a lot on pulls. So, like, if me or somebody else is taking hits or damage, it's fine. Because this is a very good ability, from what I can tell, even on, like, ad pulls. Even if only the tank is taking damage, because it's a defensive cooldown for the entire party, including the tank. So that means they're making they're taking less damage from the pull, and it's also a regen party-wide. So even if the tank's the only one taking damage, you're giving the defensive cooldown and a regen, and it's off GCD and gives me mana back and everything. It's great. Like Carachol is a very good ability. It's not particularly good before it gets the regen, but once it gets the regen, it's solid. Like, before it gets a regen, if you have the choice between Carachol or Ixochol, then, like, Ixochol is going to be fucking better. But once it gets the regen, I typically will just always use Carachol. Because, like, this is going to end up healing me more, or the same at least. The same, if not more, than the Ixochol would heal me. It's like, yeah, it's damage over time, but there's not, like, a ton of bosses that spam damage AoEs. And if they spam AoEs, you just put Carachol on the first one, and then you do, like, Ixochol on the second, or in between the two. So you just have Carachol on both of them. Which I'm probably, like, horribly mispronouncing that, but who cares? I'm gonna get hit, it's fine. Trying to run across the middle to get to the other side, like, I'm more likely to get hit by a different AoE, so it's more worth it for me to just go, okay, I'm taking the hit, and just stand in it. Yeah, that's definitely late Panheimer, it's fine. The nice thing about Panheimer, worst comes to worst, if it doesn't do anything, whenever it pops, it'll give a heal of some degree. Tank still made it. Oh, I am low on mana. I should probably do something about that, shouldn't I? It's clearly because I'm not actually using, like, any of my stuff. I don't really need to. Yeah, I'll just throw up the bubble, because why not? Yeah, I gotta go this way this time. This time I'll actually pay attention to the cleave. swinging right again. Oh, fucking misclicked. It's whatever, it's fine. It's actually funny, I don't actually end up using Physis that much once I get Carachol, to have the regen, just because, I don't know, it's easy, I like it, and also because I'm trying to get mana and stuff and keep using my, my Adder Skull, so it's constantly recharging. One of the things I actually like about Sage compared to Scholar is I actually kind of like how the Adder Skull can't be used for DPS. It is a strictly healing resource. So like Scholar, I'm kind of... Which I don't think they should get rid of that on Scholar. I think that's part of Scholar's identity, is the trade-off between healing and damage and so on. Scholar, you have to constantly be thinking of if you can get away with using your Aether Flow for damage or healing. And yeah, it's interesting, but like, I'm glad Sage didn't go down that route. I kind of like how Sage is now. Oh no, they're all getting the big stat. It's alright though, they're not going to be monsters for long. We're putting them out of their misery. This is a public service we're doing. The tank pants from this dungeon are very nice. I think they're the tank pants. They might have been the Reaper pants. I just remember, like, this dungeon, like, I liked the pants a lot. This is obviously, Thavnir is supposed to be more, like, Indian aesthetic. So, if you're into, like, that aesthetic, then this dungeon's got some good stuff. Also, Haima, very good ability for AoE pulls. Just put it on the tank. It's a big shield. Penheima is actually pretty good in AoE pulls too. So, like, it's not as good as Haima, single target obviously, but it does help AoE. So in case if anybody else gets touched by anything. But it is still a good shield on the tank. And it's off GCD, it doesn't use Adder Skull or anything, it's just free though. The healing pants. That's kind of nice. They're dyeable too. I'm gonna pass on them, I don't need them, it's fine. Right now I'm busy in my Halloween costume. I like how they added a, like, actual tank buster marker to most tank busters. Because a lot of these cast bar AoEs, it's like back in Yield and Day, when I couldn't remember what they were, it was a lot of the question of, okay, is this a room-wide damage or a tank buster? Because it wouldn't be showing any other mechanic, right? So, it would be one of those two typically. So like for that one, I knew it was room wide because I'm like, all right, I don't see the tank buster markers, therefore it's this. Like total wreck, it's like, yep, tank buster because I can see the marker on him. I actually thought that was going to be trap longer. Stretching and stuff. It's like, oh, I have to play the game. It's like meaningless destruction. That name could easily be the name of a tank buster too. Total wreck could easily be the name of a room wide. It's hard just to tell by the name. It's easier to tell by if I see a tank buster mark or not. Just put that up, why not? I don't use hollows particularly well. A lot of times I typically just use it as either mitigation or the heal, depending on like whatever I care for it to be. I know like the best use though is if you're going to take like a couple big hits in a row, like it's going to be room wide then room wide, is you can room wide, use hollows to heal from the first room wide, and then it'll still be up for second room wide. Like I know that's a good use for it, similar to like Panheima and Carachol being really good. Like Scholar is really good at healing multi-hit room wides. But I'm not good at using hollows very aggressively. It's one of those abilities that, like, I know it's good and all that, but I tend to it's just on cooldown most of the time for me. If anything, the most use I get out of it tends to be during big ad pulls, because again, it's damage mitigation on the tank. So I'll pop it because, okay, tank's taking less damage, great. It's part of the reason Sage tends to be my favorite healer, is a lot of tanks, again, are not very good. They don't know to use cooldowns and stuff. So Sage and Casual Content's great because it has so many abilities that just give defensive cooldowns to the tank. Like if I could give 3 defensives to the tank basically between Hollows, Carachol, and Tarachol? However you say that. So like I can compensate for tanks not using cooldowns. And if a tank is using a cooldown, then between like using those and Cardia, I'll never have to heal them. Or if I do have to heal them, it's like once in a blue moon, it's just using the rest of my outer skull. It's like not a big deal. Whoops. I didn't mean to put that up. But... I don't actually need physics here. I guess there's only 2 of these guys, so it's probably worth it to dodge them. Also, because I think these guys will be alive long enough for it to be beneficial. It's funny, I remember somebody was saying recently, it was like one of my static mates was talking about, it was like Phlegma or Tox. It's like Phlegma or Toxicant or whatever. Where they were just like, oh, if there's a certain amount of enemies, those aren't worth using. You should use Dreiska. And I was like, oh, really? Okay, good to know. Then I went and looked at the potencies on them. I'm like, hold up. That's, like, not true. Like, there would have to be a lot of enemies. And they're like, oh, yeah, it's just a certain number of enemies. I looked it up, and it was like 28 enemies or something. It's like, what fight can you use these abilities in that there's 25 ads that you're hitting? Like, I can't even think of a fight off the top of my head where you hit 25 enemies. Like, maybe that one fucking dungeon where there's a bunch of little robot things, but, like, you're still gonna do just a lot of damage if you use either of these on those guys. Like, there's fucking no content where there's, like, 28 enemies, so how is it useful knowing that, like, oh, if there's 28 enemies, don't use these? It's like, okay. This is one of those bosses that I actually have to pay like a slight bit more attention just because you gotta get knocked back in the right ways and stuff. Most dungeon bosses you can kind of just face plant into and you'll be fine. Like even the first guy I even showed that where I wasn't paying attention to the right or left, just got hit by one. It's like, it doesn't matter. All that means is I got a vulnerability. That's how they like kind of punish most dungeon content, is instead of making mechanics do a lot of damage, they make mechanics give you vulnerabilities. So the mindset's kind of like, okay, you're not gonna, if you fuck up a mechanic, you're not gonna die, but if you fuck up multiple mechanics, you'll die. So they're trying to just make it so it's not punishing to fuck one thing up, it's just punishing if you fuck up a lot of things. Yeah, I'm too lazy to cast a shield on him. He'll be fine. I mean, the only one that's particularly annoying to get vulnerability stacks is on the tank. You really should avoid that if you're a tank, getting vulnerability stacks. Because, you know, taking more damage is bad. I actually walked in time. I definitely thought those resolved together, so I definitely thought he was taking the other vulnerability stack. I kind of think it's funny that they effectively did this mechanic twice in like a few levels in this game, because Zodiark basically does this mechanic too. Fine. See, it doesn't matter for me. I'll take it. Oh, fuck. Why do these guys have dots? Oh, they touched the wall. Shit. Ooh. Oh, that guy's dead. I was sitting there, I'm like, oh, it's just vulnerability, it's fine. And it's like, wait, where the fuck did they get these dots from? And it's like, oh, they got punted into the walls. Yeah, that's no bueno. This fucking tank had a dot. Invuln. So you have dots and vulnerability, and I have no outer skull. Please invuln the Buster. God, it's gonna hurt. Yeah, don't be afraid to use your invuln, especially in dungeon content. Like, it doesn't matter, it's fine. I was over there, he didn't get me. In the tank? Oh, 53. On death. No way I live this. Oh. So that's also why that guy died over there. He was taking the autos. Yeah, I mean, we got something, it's fine. Jeez. It's fine until this point. I legitimately didn't know the walls give you dots. I've never seen it before. I mean, it's good to know. I guess since I do like a lot of Savage and stuff, I'm so used to the mentality of like never touch the fucking walls because they just kill you. So like, when it comes to dodging the other AoEs and everything during these different phases and stuff, I'm like, if I get hit by an AoE, fine, but if I touch the wall, death. Like, not allowed. No touching the wall. Bracelet. I really wish you could set it so in leveling dungeons, you could choose whether or not you wanted it dumping random garbage in your inventory. Because, like, a lot of my gear inventory is full up of, which I try to throw it out when I remember to, of leveling gear that's terrible. Or, you know how, honestly, how they probably should do it if they're going to do it really smart, is make it so, like, yeah, make a custom settings for it so you can, like, control how it drops, like if it always drops, if it never drops, or if it sometimes drops. And then there should be, like, a smart case in which it'll only drop gear that's, like, better than the current gear you have. So, like, if I go into Satasha, it won't cram anything in my inventory because I'm better geared than that. But if I go into Satasha and I only have an item level 5 ring equip, or chest piece equip, and then we beat the dungeon, it should be like, oh, here's a Satasha chest piece, better than what you have. So I think, like, if they made loot smarter. Honestly, I think a lot of loot rolls being smarter would be nice in this game. Like, when you're doing Savage, I kind of feel like when you clear the tier, the weapon that drops should be a weapon that somebody in the group can use. And if all the group already has their weapons, so like if somebody doesn't have like a raid weapon equipped or whatever, it should drop that. Like if a warrior is in your group and he's the only one without a raid weapon, just give it to him or whatever. But if everybody's already got the raid weapons, then the weapon should just be random. It's just like the weapon, or at least for now, they should at least make it so the random weapon that drops is for a class you're actually bringing. Because it's kind of annoying when you like clear 8 or any last tier in the fight, and the weapon that drops is like a machinist gun. It's like, none of our group can use this. Great. Because it just means it takes everybody a week longer to get their full weapons. Because if weapons that actually you can use drop, then it means that the most you have to do the fight is 8 times. Or 4 times for weapons. Chest pieces, you need to do it 8. Which is why the fight should also drop random chest pieces. It's funny. So, like, the fight's not dropping random chest pieces would be fine if the chest was only bis for, like, half the classes. But it's not. I think our entire static needs... Yeah, our entire static needs chest pieces. They're all bis. Which means that as a static, it will take 8 weeks to get everybody chest pieces, which is annoying. It's like, in my mind, it's kind of like, you really should make it so it either drops random chest pieces, or you should pay more attention to, like, bis and everything when you're designing these classes. So, like, it's kind of like pants. This tier has been a meme, because pants is not bis for anybody in our group. So every time pants drops, it's like, hey, who wants some pants? It's like, no, thank you. There are classes that pants is bis, but it's so low. Like, it's like 3 classes in which pants are actually bis. Everybody else is like, yeah, I don't want pants. Although I get why it is hard to some degree. Because, all the tanks and healers effectively have the same bis because of, like, how the stats weightings work, from what I understand. At least, I mean, there's slight variance between them, but it's mostly the same from what I've seen, especially for tanks. So it's like hard for you to make it so more people want pants, because it's like, hey, if all the tanks, if one tank wants pants, they all want pants. If one tank doesn't want pants, they all don't want it. So like in my mind, it's like, okay, just make it so the tanks want pants and the healers want pants, and then make it so the pants generally isn't bis for DPS or something like that. And then make it so the chest is always bis for the DPS, and make it so, like, tanks and healers, the chest is not bis. So that way, like, you know, then half the party needs chests, half the party needs pants, and you can divvy that way, you know? Because, yeah, there's more DPS classes than there are tanks and healers, but the thought is if you're running with an 8-person group, obviously if you're doing like pugs or whatever, this doesn't help you that much. But if you're running with like an 8-person group, this guy can actually pop cooldowns. Okay, well, they pop ram. No, they pop 2. Why? Homie. No. Bad. I'm not gonna let that Living Dead pop. Why? You don't pop your other cooldowns and Living Dead. You either pop your other cooldowns or Living Dead. Because Living Dead, you want to die, and then it doesn't matter how much damage you take while you're dead. Like... And he hasn't, that's the counter. Living Dead, 5 minutes. It's like, okay, well, we don't need Living Dead, so it's fine. Like, in dungeon content, Living Dead's like the worst fucking cooldown. Have a million fucking dots. Yeah, everybody else can do the keys and shit, because I'm just trying to shield everybody for the dots. I'm not going to assume the dots, I don't care. They're not doing that much damage. But I'm going to get a newspaper roll and bop this sprout over the nose for using Living Dead after popping both Rampart and Shadow Wall. Even then, like, Rampart and Shadow Wall, you probably shouldn't be using them simultaneously. Probably should just use Shadow Wall there, and then maybe, like, Reprisal or something, if there's a lot of enemies, and then you can hold off Rampart. You didn't need it. But yeah, if you're definitely going to blow all of your load on cooldowns, do not pop Living Dead. That's the thing with, like, the invulnerability cooldowns. You should never overlap your invulnerability cooldowns with other cooldowns. Because that's the whole point, is to make you invulnerable. Like, you don't need other cooldowns. You want to take all the damage. Like, if you have Hollowed Ground, who gives a shit? Just, like, you're going to take no damage. Hollowed Ground, Super Bolide, they both make it so you take no damage. So, like, why would you use another cooldown during it? And, Holmgang and Living Dead, you both basically want to hit 1 HP, and then you just want to sit at 1 HP until, like, you're about to run out of time on it and you get spiked. So, like, you don't want to pair other cooldowns with them. Like, typically the other cooldowns I pair with Holmgang as a warrior is Bloodwetting and, maybe Thrill and Equilibrium. And what I do is you just wait till your Holmgang's about to drop, and then you use your healing cooldowns to heal you back to max, so you don't even need the healer. It's part of the reason that, like, in Expert Roulette, warriors, obviously not saying all warriors, because your warrior has to kind of know what they're doing to some degree. Warriors aren't that hard, though. You don't need a healer. Like, the healer in Expert Roulette, the only people who need them really is the DPS, and even then, like, warrior can keep at least 1 DPS alive, and if they're not getting hit by mechanics, then 2. Did that guy just get hit by, like, missiles and auto or something? Like, what was that? I wasn't paying attention. Yeah. Okay, so that... Sorry, I'm just looking at my Discord. Like, even this part where just spams little robot ads on you. There aren't 28 ads, and your abilities, like, you don't even have Toxic in or whatever. So, like, it's worth it still to use this. probably not worth using the Carachol there, but these Colossus do hit a little bit hard, so it's just like, I'll put another mitigation on the tank. It doesn't look like the tank's popping any cooldowns, so it's whatever. These guys didn't really hit that hard anyway. His cardio could just keep the tank up. It's like sometimes these Colossi in dungeons do crazy damage and they actually hit hard as fuck, and then other times they just hit like a wet noodle, and it seems like there's no in between. It's like I can't remember which Colossi do damage and which ones are just noodles. Alright, cool. Yeah, just a few more enemies in the middle of the arena, and then we can do the next boss. I don't know what music this dungeon actually has, and we're out to my own fucking music. I got my Spotify playlist. I keep hearing stuff about Spotify crashing because Taylor Swift or something. I don't know what the fucking deal is with that, because when that was, I was raiding, I believe. Or I was still playing 14, and I had Spotify on, and I didn't experience any issues, so I don't know what crash everybody's talking about. Because it was like midnight on Tuesday or something, so I wasn't raiding, but I was definitely playing 14. I think I was doing some like the new variant dungeons or whatever. So it was one of those things that's like, oh, it crashed. It's like, I don't think Spotify did crash. I mean, maybe like a Spotify service in which like discovering music and downloading stuff, maybe that was down or something, but like if you were just listening to Spotify casually on your computer or whatever, and you had some locally cached songs or something, that definitely didn't crash. Not standing still. Oh, there goes all my energy skull. Apparently I'll have to put it out in AoE shield before that goes off, because people would be an idiot. Yeah, if you ever see that like exclamation mark over your head or whatever, that means just like stop doing shit. You just like stand still. Yeah, I got a bit late. Thanks for popping your cooldown once you're already low. That shadow wall would have been great when you were taking the hit. That's fine. It's one of those things, you saw the dynamic sensor, right? Did a shit ton of damage to him the first time. If you could pop that for the second time, that'd be great. Yeah, like, this is the legitimate fight in which I was thinking, like, maybe there's 28 enemies, so maybe it's technically not worth using Phlegma. Like, I don't fucking know. Even then, at that point, you're losing such little potency that, like, oh no, I'm doing 20 potency less per every enemy over 28. Like, oh my. Whatever, oh golly, whatever shall I do? My parse run is ruined. Please stop sending me. He's trying to hold me. Why are you dying? You're not tanking. Alright, this tank finally gets to do another big pull. Let's see if they pop all their cooldowns and Living Dead again. I think it's funny that they have like a Living Dead cooldown in the fucking chat, because like, I don't know, what do they need that for? Like, fights in which you actually need to know the cooldowns on your invulnerabilities and stuff, right? Are fights that you are going to pre-plan out when your cooldowns are being used. Like, you're not just going to YOLO them. You're going to be like, okay, I'll have my home gang up at this point and this point. So, like, you don't need the, like, oh, Living Dead's on cooldown for 5 minutes. And also, even then, it's, like, not super useful to see a 5-minute cooldown in chat that, if it updated later, like, when it was at the 30-second mark or something, then, like, I guess that'd be kind of useful. But, like, if it just says 5 minutes, it's like, okay. Like, I don't know when 5 minutes from now is. Like, I can watch the game timer, I guess, but, like, it's just one of those things that 5 minutes is a long time in a single fight. Like, I'm not gonna remember cooldowns. Sloppy. Even somebody in chat saying the sloppy. The summoner's getting my comm, by the way. They seem like the best person in the party. Gotta love when the Sprout's better than everybody else.
How'd you like these?
They might be a they might be an alt though, so like it doesn't really count then. I didn't see if this was their first time doing it. It doesn't say. It says it's the tank's first time doing this dungeon, I guess. I mean, it's fine if the tank makes mistakes or Sprout and all that. It's just one of those things that, like, don't pop the other cooldowns. Don't pop Living Dead at the same time. It doesn't make sense. Like, why would you do that? It's like, that's not really like a dungeon specific thing. That's just like, hey, that's something you should not do.
How'd you like these?
The tank was just new, so they're like, oh, where's the safe spot? Where's the safe spot? It's like, it doesn't work like that. Come back. Oh, are they gonna make it? Man, thanks. I like the summon. Anybody who's not getting hit by mechanics and I don't have to heal, I like. I'm the worst kind of healer. It's like if people want healing, they have to get me out of the chain. No. That's the easiest form of that mechanic I've ever seen. He just jumps there and back. Normally he jumps like a crazy distance across the arena. I've never seen him just do a little hop back and forth before. Neat. Tank Buster. He's not gonna pop any cooldowns, so this guy's gonna take a lot of damage here. Yeah. That's why I want them to add more like tank buster markers to everything. So like newer tanks can be like, yep, buster. Here you go, Summoner. So we'll do 90 next. I have to remember to do my newbie stripe still too, so maybe after this. See, this is where the annoying part of my setup kind of comes in, is that it's not easy to switch on and off the game music with my personal music. This is a dungeon that I actually like the music a lot in, so like, I'd totally be down to turn off my personal music and listen to game music. Oh, we pop 8 cooldown. Let's see if he pops more. Oh, Blackest Night. Good. He's using that. There's some Dark Knights that you like never see them use Blackest Night. It's like, why? It's your best ability. It really is. A lot of people think like the tank's best abilities are their invulns, and that's not accurate at all. The tank's best abilities are their like shortest cooldowns that do a lot of mitigating. So Bloodwetting is Warrior's best ability. Dark Knight's best ability is definitely Blackest Night. Gunbreakers is definitely their Heart of Stone, like the upgraded version. Heart of Stone on its own isn't that great, but like the upgraded Heart of Stone is solid as fuck. I can't remember what the upgraded version is called. And I don't fucking play Paladin. I think it's like the upgraded Sheltron now, right? Something like that. I don't play Paladin. I don't care about Paladin. If they give Paladin a combat raise, I'll pay more attention to it. Which is funny, because like they kind of shouldn't give Paladin combat raise, because it's not something they should be using. Like, they don't have a swift cast. I mean, yeah, I guess they could do it during their like swift cast-esque window, whatever it's called, their magic window. But like, they don't want to cast a raise during that, you know. Although it would be funny is if you could pop that and you could cast like 5 raises in a row, all swift. Like if they gave Paladin a combat raise, they'd have to make it like 5,000 mana to try to balance it or some shit. So like, yeah, you can use it, but like it's gonna cost a lot. But like, I think it aesthetically, thematically, and everything would make sense if Paladin had a combat raise. Also, I wonder if this Dark Knight and Red Mage are actually together, or if they just, like, happen to be, sharing the aesthetic. I do appreciate their Halloween spirit, though. Glad I'm not the only one in a Halloween costume. Is this Dancer in a Halloween costume? It's kind of a festive dress. Not really, though. It's like if you guys could all spread out a little bit less so I could hit you with my AoEs, that'd be great. Yeah, we got a lot of regens, we'll be fine. So I gotta be in the front too. Next, I gotta get hit by the angry face. I like this dungeon a lot. They did a very good job with it. I think I also got a really positive feeling for this dungeon, in part because when the expansion came out, I was mostly playing Reaper, because I like Reaper a lot. And this dungeon has 2 omnipositional bosses, which I can't name very many dungeons that have multiple omnipositional bosses. So, it's a very nice feature. I don't know, it's fun on Reaper to have omnipositional bosses, because then you just go fucking... Same with, like, on Monk. Or at least, I guess they changed Monk now, so it has less positionals, so maybe not as much. But especially before they changed Monk, when they were, like, entirely positionals, it was always fun when you found an omnipositional boss that you could just go crazy on. Like in a lot of Alliance raids, the bosses are omnipositional. Alliance raid bosses are kind of weird for positionals a lot of the time in my mind, because a lot of Alliance raid bosses are really big. So I feel like it's kind of a bit more annoying to land your positionals if a boss is huge, because, you know, the shift, like, the slide back and forth for sides and back is, like, more movement. So that's part of the reason, like, Alliance raids particularly, I'm rather fond of omnipositional bosses. It's kind of neat. It's something that I didn't really think about until I had done it several times, was the new variant dungeons. Because I was thinking about how, like, you could solo it, and because I did it, like, entirely solo on my warrior. And I was like, oh, yeah, you could probably do, like, you can do this on any class, apparently. They balanced it for anything, so that's neat. And, like, you can even survive the tank busters with that one special, like, super tank cooldown that they can cross-class, or whatever it's called, the variant dungeon ability. So it's like, yeah, that's nice. But in my mind, I was thinking, alright, but you can't get your positionals, right? Because that would be really kind of annoying. But if you just can't get them, then whatever. So when I went in there again, I was just looking, like, and I noticed that the bosses in the variant dungeons are actually omnipositional. For that exact reason. That if you want to go do the variant dungeon on Reaper alone, the bosses are omnipositional. They're not bosses that would normally be omnipositional, like they don't have the aesthetic and everything for it. So if the variant dungeon was just like a normal dungeon that you couldn't go into solo, they definitely wouldn't be omnipositional. But since it is a content that can be soloed, they made the bosses omnipositional for any melee DPS that wanted to go in there alone. Just, you know, it's nice. It's good they're thinking about that. I should have saved that. Yeah, it's fine. I slide casted it, so it was alright. Part of the reasons I could never raid on a healer is I think, like, healer slide casting is annoying. But, like, slide casting on Black Mage I think is satisfying for some reason. That being said, as you can see, I'm just practicing my healer slide casting as I slide around. I don't need to be doing all this movement, but, you know. Yeah, they don't have to move for this one. It should die before it goes off. But, you know, I'm going to move anyways, just in case. You never know. I was busy showing off my slide casting anyways. Kind of funny though, because in my mind I was immediately thinking that I was an expert because I had done this dungeon a ton of times when I was an expert roulette. So I was like, okay, so after this, what roulettes do I have left? I'm like, okay, Alliance, I think, Trial, and then I was thinking about like 90 and expert, and it's like, oh right, this is 90, this isn't expert. So after this, I think the roulettes I have left after this are Trial, Alliance, and Expert. I might do Alliance last just because I don't like any of the Stormblood Alliance raids, so honestly, a lot of times I get them, I just fucking dip. So I might do that one last, just in case if I get a Stormbolt one, I can dip and just, you know, not worry about the penalty for now. Just go do something else. It's honestly why I end up doing Alliance raids a lot last, is because, like, yeah, they're rewarding and everything, but, like, I don't want to do a Stormblood raid. Which this tank's definitely getting my calm. They seem like they're doing good. Popping some cooldowns and stuff, so, you know, good. Like, they had Shadow Wall up during that pull, so, nice. Looks good to me. Yeah. When I was playing Reaper, I'd always like, in this fight particularly, you can kind of cheese the mines in that the mines can make it so you have to run backwards for safe spots if there's a mine up front and that's the safe spot, right? So a lot of times what you do in this fight is you cheese it. You just have the tank, which doesn't look like he's going to do it this time, which is fine. I'm not a melee, I don't care. We don't have any melees other than him. The tank just purposely runs and smacks the mine if it's a dangerous, or if it's the safe spot, and a lot of times they'll do it either way, because it doesn't do that much damage. And they'll just, like, take the vulnerability and damage to make it so there's guaranteed a safe spot up here. So I always liked when I played Reaper when a tank did that, because it's like, oh shit, I just get to stay in melee, and he's omnipositional, so it doesn't matter. Fortunately, Reaper, though, does have the teleport, and with Harvest Moon, you can basically, like, teleport back, Harvest Moon, and then just teleport forward, like, and if you do it right, you're not really losing any melee uptime. It just means that you have to have Harvest Moon. Oh yeah, look, he's doing it. Yeah, and he Blackest Knighted, so he didn't even take the vulnerability, because he had a shield, so... Yeah, so good on this guy. The only reason you don't want to do that is if you see a whole bunch of people standing next to it because they don't know the strat. I was healing once when I saw a tank do it, where there was like 2 casters standing right next to it, and the tank was like, ah, I'm going to do the strat, and they like ran up and touched it, and it just like did, it hit all of the casters, or the 2 casters that were like right fucking on it, and gave them the paralysis and damage down, and damage, and knocked them all around. It's like, probably shouldn't have done it that time. I'm out of fucking mana. It's because this fight does like no real fucking damage, so like I don't need these other things unless people are standing and stuff, so I forget to do it. There's a minion that drops in this place, so I always want to make sure I open the chest just in case. I don't know if I have the minion from this one or not. It's the reason a lot of dungeons I always pop the chest and see what's inside. Because there are dungeons with minions and mounts and stuff, and orchestrons, so I don't know which ones I have and which one I don't, so I always want to check. Alright, let's see what's up. Oh, I haven't done main scenario yet either. Oh, yeah, let's do it. It's cutscene roulette, but fine. It gives money. It's fine. I just pray every time not to get ultimate weapon. I hate the new ultimate weapon fight. It's so boring. Sorry about that. People's staring at me. It's like... Alright. Yeah, I didn't get ultimate weapon, so it's great. Why am I taking... Okay, there we go. I just saw all the aggro on me. It's like, that doesn't look right. Normally what I try to do is on pull, I just... like, I'll spam my dire on enemies. Oh, I didn't actually put Cardi on this guy. Whoops. Should probably do that. I'll spam my AoE while running along and keep an eye on the aggro list. And if I get into the orange on an enemy, I'll stop doing it because I don't want to rip aggro. It's fine. So it's like kind of a good tip that if you're trying to attack them while the tank is moving them, to keep an eye on the aggro list and do your best not to rip aggro. If you do, and then you just bring it to the tank, it's fine. But it's honestly more of a courtesy thing in my mind. Of just like, don't make the tank's life harder than it needs to be. Also, I think after this dungeon, I have to drop for a bit. Go do dinner or something. Everybody loves movie roulette, right? This roulette is way better with the changes they've made. Like, these just... Castermurdium and the other one just being real dungeons now. Fantastic. Amazing change. My only issue with it is Ultima Weapon. And honestly, all they would have to do to make Ultima Weapon, like, a really fine fight in my mind is cut its health in, like, half. There's a ton of time in which you're just smacking him. And that's all. Like, no mechanics are happening, you're just hitting him. And it's like, even if you're doing it with good DPS, it still just takes such a long time. So it's one of those things that, like, if they cut down Ultima Weapon's health a good bit, like, even if it's just like a third or a quarter, like, that would make the fight so much better. I don't even mind the, like, long mid-roll cutscene, it's fine. Like, I'll take a break, go watch a YouTube video or something. That's the nice thing is, I have 3 monitors, so I can distract myself pretty easily during MSQ with, like, the force cutscenes and stuff. It's part of the reason that, like, I have this habit of whenever I do turn on my stream ever, I always have my stream window, like, off to my left, so that's where I can actually see, like, what my stream looks like to other people. And, like, the chat box, which I, you know, even though, like, I don't actually have viewers or anything, I like to keep an eye on it just in case, because occasionally somebody comes in chats and I don't want to be one of those people who just like ignores anybody who actually does show up. I mean, that's the biggest reason I turn on the stream is for the like kind of social aspect of it. Just so like I'm not sitting alone in my room all day, not doing or talking to anybody. So like I try to keep an eye on the chat box just in case if there is anything in there. I think it's kind of funny. I was actually planning on turning on my stream Friday night. But I ended up deciding against it because... Well, I didn't really end up deciding against it, I guess, technically speaking. I had it decided against for me. Because I had, like, the ability to stream on Twitch and everything set up. But I decided I would prefer trying to stream on YouTube. Because when I ever streamed in the past on Twitch, my issue is I'm not a Twitch user myself. I don't watch Twitch live streams. I watch YouTube videos, like, exclusively. And I watch YouTube live streams for a couple creators as well. So, like, I don't use Twitch. I'm not a Twitch user. but I am a YouTube user a lot. So ultimately, when I was like, okay, I want to try streaming again, just because like I need something to keep me on rhythm and keep me from just, you know, sitting alone in my room all the time, I'm gonna try turning on my stream again. I was like, okay, well, the problem is I don't want to do Twitch. Like, I don't particularly like Twitch as a site. So I'm gonna try YouTube. So I was like, okay, I'll try it Friday. So Friday, I was like, okay, let me get my stream and everything set up. And I did this like early in the afternoon, because on Twitch, if anybody hasn't streamed on there, you can start streaming on Twitch basically instantly. Like, you can download the app and just start going. If you want to stream like your video and everything better, you want to install like OBS or Streamlabs or something. Same with like YouTube. But you technically could just immediately start live streaming yourself, which is... Twitch might change that, because there's been some fucked up things coming out about that being a feature. So I figured YouTube was kind of similar, because, you know, I was like, okay, I'm old enough and everything, I can validate that if I need to. So I should just be able to set up and turn on my live stream. So if I set it up on Friday afternoon, I should be able to just turn it on Friday evening, and ta-da, good. And so today, so Friday, when I went to set it up, I figured out YouTube, if you want to live stream on the platform, you need to request it, and there's a 24-hour waiting period. In which, what I assume I could be wrong about this, I don't know how many moderators or whatever they have. What I assume, no matter what, they make you wait the full 24 hours. But in my mind, I think it's, one, to prevent people who are just trying to, like, I don't know, turn on their stream drunk or something, and, like, just out of nowhere and do something stupid. So you have to actually think, like, oh, yes, I want to stream, and then, like, you have to wait the 24 hours and everything. But also because, theoretically, I imagine they have some sort of moderators or something that when you go, yeah, I want to stream, they come look at your YouTube channel and go, okay, like, are they old enough? Is their content acceptable and everything? So when I requested permission to stream, like, I had a bunch of Twitch VODs already uploaded to my channel. So they probably just went, looked at, like, one or two of those, and like, okay, yeah, it's just some, like, adult dude playing video games. Like, who gives a shit? Give him permission. So, like, I wasn't concerned about not getting permission or anything. It was just one of those things that I didn't realize that there was a 24-hour waiting period. So when I saw it, it's like, well, I guess I'm not streaming tonight. It's like, alright, I'm going to stream Friday night. It's going to be great. Request permission, 24-hour wait period. It's like, well, I guess I'm not streaming tonight. Tomorrow. Which I did do. I did stream yesterday. And that's actually what I was going to probably do Friday, if I was able to stream. Which, what I was doing last night, and which I might do more tonight, was basically I was playing No Man's Sky. And in No Man's Sky, there's resource nodes that you can find of various rankings and everything, and different resources around the galaxy. And I thought it'd be funny and interesting to try to make the biggest gold mine you could. So I found an S-class gold node, and I was making basically a mega structure to harvest gold. And part of the reason that this is a pain in the ass to do is if you link your resource miners and everything together in No Man's Sky, it gives you diminishing returns on how much gold you generate. So you can't just, like, add a ton of mineral extractors or something and say, okay, where's the tank going? You can't just add a bunch of mineral extractors and go, hooray, now I link them all together and I'm getting the biggest gold mine. No, you have to make separate, like, networks of mineral extractors. And the other thing about this is how centered your mineral extractors are in the node determine how much resource you get out of it. So you don't want to put, like, a shit ton of mineral extractors and just try to put them all next to each other, because one, it'd be hard to manage which networks are connected, but also because the ones as you get further and further out from the center of the node theoretically would generate less and less gold. But in No Man's Sky, nodes only keep track of X and Y coordinates. The nodes don't keep track of Z coordinates, like height, at all. So it doesn't matter how high or low you build a mineral extractor, as long as it's on the X and Y coordinates of the node, it counts. And that's obviously just programmed that way because of the, like, random generated aspect of the game. So when the random nodes are put around the world, the random nodes don't necessarily like have an X or Y coordinate. So if it's a valley or something, there won't be a random spawning node that just happens to be like up in the middle of the air or something. Because like it wouldn't make sense if there was a gold node way up in the air or something. So that means what you can do is you can build a structure in which you put extractors up on higher floors. And despite the fact that they're trying to mine and they're mining directly into the floor of your structure, if they're on the node, they count still. So basically, I could build this massive tower with mineral extractors on every floor that all count as being as the center of the gold node and can harvest. And then each floor of mineral extractors is their own network, so I'm not getting diminishing returns. So each floor is its own returns. So like that's what I was doing yesterday, and I might do some more of that tonight. Just to see how much I can do. And gold's a good resource to do it with, just because gold's worth a lot. I don't know if there actually are deep level mineral deposits for platinum in that game. I haven't seen any if there are. So if there is, then technically platinum would have been a better resource for me to do it with, because platinum is worth more than gold. But I've been just doing it with gold, and I think gold's funny anyways, because I need gold. Give me the gold. So it's funny, like now I've got like 15 networks of gold extractors running, because I have like 15 stories up that's going. And they each extract just over like 1,000 gold per hour. So I haven't checked it at all today, so if I go back they'll all be full, and each one can store like 15,500 gold. So if I were to go back right now and just unload them all and then sell it No Man's Sky, it would give me like 40 million in-game currency. So if I keep expanding on that thing, which I could theoretically expand it as much as I effectively want, up until at least the build limit, and then I'd have to figure out spacing and everything more. And I could just generate a stupid amount of money, which that was kind of the goal of it, because I'm a little bit min-maxy in most games, which you can probably tell. Which means when I was playing No Man's Sky, I was being min-maxy with like money generation and hoarding a lot of money resources instead of just selling them so I could craft them into better money resources. I was like, okay, this is requiring a lot of thought and time. What if I just built like a mega gold mine, and then I would be making so much money from that I wouldn't feel the need to be like min-maxy with money elsewhere. Because like in my mind, how min-maxy I am depends on like how well I'm doing. So like, let's say in a game, right? If I'm making like $1,000 per hour in a game, right? Not like real money, but like game money. Then I'll min-max a value of $100. But when it comes down to the one or two values, like I don't care. It's fine. It's negligible. Like $1 or $2 compared to like 1,000 is nothing in a video game, right? So like, same with if it was just like 100,000, that I wouldn't pay that much attention until, you know, like $100 or $500 if you were in the 100,000 like area in like a game or something. So the thought is, if I'm making a ton of money in No Man's Sky through like this one venture, then like, okay, making an additional 1,000 off of this one trade resource, it's like, who cares? Like, it's negligible compared to like the millions you're making from the gold mine type deal. Which is why, if I was ever rich, I would end up giving so much money to like charity and shit. Because in my mind, like, if I was sitting on billions of dollars, like some sort of fucking billionaire, in my mind, I would just be like, oh yeah, this charity wants $1 million. Yeah, alright, whatever. Like, it's fine. Do it. So like, I'd just be giving out money all the time. Which means I wouldn't be a billionaire for very long, because in my mind, I'd just be like, I've got $1 billion. Time to start fixing shit. Like, I mean, you really gotta wonder why no because, you know, billionaires, what they spend their money on is whatever the fuck they want, you know, cars, fucking drugs, houses. You gotta wonder why no billionaires ever just been like, you know what, I want world peace and, like, free food for everybody. That'd be great. Just, like, started throwing money. I mean, I'm sure there's billionaires that donate to those causes, but, like, I mean, you got $1 billion. Like, You basically have the money to just buy away world hunger, at least for a period of time. So you gotta wonder why no billionaire has ever just been like, you know what I want to buy? No more starving children. Or a cure for cancer. I'm just gonna throw, you know, $10 billion at this. Fuck it. Because that, I mean, it's a good purchase, right? I feel like we're gonna have to wait until, like, somebody, like, we're not gonna get a cure for cancer until, like, Bezos or Musk gets cancer or something, and then they throw all of their money to make a cure. That's when we'll actually get a cure. And then that cure will cost $10 million, so nobody will be able to afford it. That's how medicine's gonna progress. We need the ultra wealthy to get sick and to invent cures to cure themselves. It's sad, but that probably would be the fastest way to get, like, some cure to cancer or something, is for some billionaire to get it and be like, alright, I'm gonna throw all of my money at this problem. And then the rest of the world would have access to it, but America, no, us Americans would never get it. Because, you know, Americans don't want medicine. Medicine's for those goddamn Europeans. Yeah, America's healthcare system fucking mean. It's kind of like that one dude, the, like, Martin Schrickle or whatever, the dude who basically committed, like, massive fraud and tried to super upcharge on pharmaceuticals, right? He ended up going to, like, prison or something for an extended period of time. I can't remember how long, for fraud. And he got out, and he, like, immediately started some pharmaceutical, like, crypto scam as soon as he got out. And, like, people invested in it. I'm like, how out of your mind do you have to be that, like, a fraudulent dude goes to prison for committing fraud in the pharmaceutical space, and then he, like, gets out and he immediately starts, like, a crypto scam related to, like, the pharmaceutical space as well? Like, how out of your mind do you have to be to give him money? I mean, it'd be kind of like somebody just coming up telling you, yeah, I'm a con man. Can I have 20 bucks? I just need it to get home. It's like, why'd you start with that opening line? It's like, yeah, it could be accurate and everything, but, like, if you know they're a fucking con man. Alright. Well, I actually have to drop for the time being, so I'm going to turn off the stream for now. I probably will turn it back on later tonight. I might do I'll likely do Expert Alliance, and then maybe No Man's Sky or something. Maybe start something new. I don't know. I'll see how that feels.